Evening, my fellow Americans.
Take the red pill.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
The disastrous rise of misplaced power exists.
All we have built, all we have worked for, would be destroyed.
There is nothing the political establishment will not do.
And this nation will not be fully free until all its citizens are free.
Our arms must be mighty, ready for instant action,
These criminals cannot be rewarded.
so that no potential aggressor may be tempted to risk his own destruction.
There is a point beyond which they must not advance.
They're coming after you, and I'm just standing in their way. Here I am.
You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
The cost of freedom is always high.
Those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers.
This is a crusade! This is a holy war against the deep state!
We never wanted to be right, but yet things are all adding up to the firestorm.
There's too many songs about diamond teeth and gold chains. Too many rappers who still glorify gangs. There's way too many rhymes about codeine and women we'd like to bang. I just wanted to make a song to say thanks. Thank you to the cops who really trying to make the world a better place, risking their lives to keep a man they never even met safe. They ain't trying to kill your kids or lock their father away. They got families who need food on their plates. And thank you to the firefighters. Whenever I hear sirens, I pray. It takes a special kind of man to run toward all the flames. When we see smoke and we need help, the fire can't be contained. They running in while everybody runs away. And thank you to the soldiers fighting for us, flying way overseas. Ain't never met you, but I love you cause you're dying for me. I'm enjoying my freedom and I know freedom ain't free. When the anthem plays, I don't take a knee. And thank you to the truckers, the janitors, and the average people. The ones holding the jobs that will damage your ego. The ones who do the most and in return they get zero. Screw what anyone says, y'all are heroes. Everyday people, they know who they are. They aren't superstars and they don't fight evil. They gotta do the hours with no superpowers. Everyday people don't always save the world. They don't get the girl, but y'all are heroes. Heroes. Too many songs about Xanax and faces covered with tattoos. And way too many asses on camera with rap dudes. Too much Gucci, Louis, Prada clothing trying to brand you. I just wanna make a song to say thank you. Thank you to the paramedics coming at high speed in an ambulance, trying to get someone to breathe at the scene of an accident. Covered in a stranger's blood and trying to bring them back again. Their stress levels always at a maximum. Thank you to the carpenters, mechanics, and the welders and plumbers. Y'all are building all the roofs that we're under. Swinging hammers in the pouring rain, the snow in the summer. I hope you know that I appreciate your struggle. Thank you to the nurses and doctors fighting for everyone's lives. Y'all don't always find a cure, but I believe that you tried. The guilt of seeing someone who you tried to save die, don't let it haunt you. Y'all bought them some time. And thank you to the priests and the pastors and the grocery store clerks. The ones who don't get thanked or paid enough for their work. Probably feel disrespected and I'm sure that it hurts. But let me tell you, y'all are heroes for sure. Everyday people, they know who they are. They aren't superstars and they don't fight evil. They gotta do the hours with no superpowers. Everyday people don't always save the world. They don't get the girl, but y'all are heroes. Heroes. You don't need a mask and a cape. Don't lose sleep wondering if humanity's safe. Whoa, whoa. And you don't gotta fly to the moon. Don't need x-ray sight to see the hero in you. Whoa, whoa. Everyday people, they know who they are. They aren't superstars and they don't fight evil. They gotta do the hours with no superpowers. Everyday people don't always save the world. They don't get the girl, but y'all are heroes. Heroes.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Wherever you are in the world, my name is Josh. Welcome to the Red Pill Project's Daily Dose, live with you Monday through Thursday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is where we bring you the unfolding global conspiracy and a conspiracy It is time to buckle up, Buttercup. That's right, guys. And we are back. So for anybody who didn't know, we are off Thursday and Friday. We still had James's show and a few other shows playing. Apologize for the Beyond the Bible show yesterday. It looked like there were some problems with the video. We're going to get that re-uploaded and play that again probably sometime early this week. But we were at the Red Pill Project annual camping trip, and that was in Eureka, Missouri at the Forest property. And a big shout out to Darren Forrest out there. Thank you so much, my friend. Incredibly hospitable. And we had a great time. Awesome property. It was a really good time until the rain rolled in. Rain rolled in Saturday, and it was torrential downpours. And we all kind of just said, okay, well, we had a good time. We're all leaving tomorrow, so let's not get all of our stuff wet. And we ended up leaving early, which is cool because I had some car trouble on the way home, but that got all resolved and I got back safe. And I hope everybody else who came out got back safe as well. It looks like we had we had about 15 people there, well, 15, 20 people there, and a few other people showed up on Saturday, which was really good. I had some really good conversations. Matt Presti and myself got to hang out, meet each other in real life, IRL. And it was a good time. So we'll talk a lot about that probably this Thursday, this weekend, this week, probably on Fringe or something like that. Maybe we'll have Matt on. We'll see if we can get Matt and Dave this weekend. But just because we take a little break doesn't mean that the world stops, and the world absolutely did not stop. The world goes on. And this is what we mean by it is time to buckle up, Buttercup. Things are happening. Things are moving forward. We talk a lot about kind of, number one is nobody knows what the hell's going on. I just want to reiterate that. Somebody said Rumble has not started. Let me check Rumble. I want to check this out real quick. Just let me get Rumble up and running. It looks like Rumble is not going. Okay, 1 second here. Let me go in and make sure Rumble is going to go. Sorry, Rumblers. Give me a second here. Thought we did everything right. I'm a one-man gang. What am I supposed to do? Sometimes you make mistakes. Let me see here. Rumble. It says Rumble streaming. I wonder what's going on. It says Rumble streaming on my side. I don't see it streaming, though. Rumble's been having some problems. Yesterday was weird. Let me see here. Oh, I got to sign in the chat. Apparently, I got signed out of everything. Give me 1 second, guys. I just saw a few people saying that we weren't playing, so let me validate that. Go in, update a few things. It says we're streaming here on Restream. And if it's not playing on Rumble, I don't know what it would be. Rumble's been weird lately. Has anybody else noticed that Rumble has gotten a few problems lately? Let me see here. Is the show playing? Because I'm not getting it to load on my PC, so it's kind of weird. And everybody's saying no. Weird. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me try to figure this out. Make sure that everything is good here. Get rid of that. All right. Let me see if that worked and gets it online. Sorry for the delay, guys. Yesterday we were having problems on Rumble. It was screwing up our video as we were playing it, so I apologize in advance. It says we are streaming on Rumble right now, but the video's not playing. So let me see if we can get in here and get this going. Weird. I got to try one more thing. And sorry for the delay, guys. And I'm going to try to ad-lib through the show here as we help get Rumble online. So let me see what I can do. But things are buckling up. There's shit happening all around the world. There's some things that we're going to have to look at, right? What is Mike Johnson doing? Is that through the direction of Trump? Why he's doing what he's doing? Are there other things that we need to look at? What's going on with Putin, China? What's going on in Venezuela? That's what a few of the things that we're going to look at today. All right. Now let me turn this back on and see what happens here. So the way live streams operate is you use RTMP codes for Rumble. And lately they have been pretty shitty for some reason. So let me do this. Let me eliminate trial and error here. Give me 1 second, guys. I want to get Rumble up because we got a whole bunch of people wondering what the hell's going on over there. So thank you for your patience. One, two, save that. Let me see if it's my streaming channel or if it's Rumble. After these messages, we'll be right back. I mean, it's not a vacation unless, you know, things like this happen. Okay. So it doesn't look like that's going to play through that. So what I'm going to have to do is delete this and set it up again. So give me 1 second, guys. Let me go in here and do this. We're going to go live, do that. 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, like a minute and a half. Takes me just a few seconds to do this. This is the easy part. All right, go here. And we're going to turn. One second, almost there. All right, cool. All right, I'm back. I'm on Rumble now, but I have to go tell everybody on that one to go here. So give me 1 second. Kill that. All right, 1 second, guys. We're going to be up and running in just a minute. Okay. All right, we are on Rumble. Everything is up and running, so I apologize for that. And here we are. Okay. So War of the Roses, we had a little bit of delay because Rumble was just giving us some problems, but we are now up and rocking and rolling. Sorry about that, everybody. Yep, and YouTube is streaming just perfect for everybody on Rumble. And we are back on YouTube, and we're getting a little bit of a following coming back on there, so I'm happy to announce that. So you can always follow us on YouTube. It's really easy. Just go search redpills.tv, and the link is always linked up on our website as well as on all of our social media when we post this out there for these shows. My face looks fuzzy. Yeah, I got a little bit of a beard going. I don't know if I'm going to grow a beard yet. We will see, but let's jump right into this on what to talk about. So for everybody on Rumble just joining here, we were discussing the camping trip. So you didn't really miss much, but now we're getting into what's known as the War of the Roses. So one thing that I find really interesting, and I had a lot of good conversations this last week, and I had a lot of road time where I was on the road driving, a lot of time to think. And that's kind of how I start kind of going through and rationalizing a lot of the things that are happening in the world, a lot of the things that are going on in life and all these things. And one of the things I'll say is we are headed as a society, as a country, as a society, as a population on Earth, in a very bad direction, in a downward spiral. And I am not, the role model for anybody. But there's one thing that I always do, and there's one thing that I always have, like a kind of like a thing of life that I always abide by. And it's simply this, is that preserve life at all costs, respect life at all costs. Is that you never know what somebody's going through, so treat everybody with respect, or at least attempt to, unless they're an asshole, and then you can be an asshole back. And I think that if we did that day in and day out, that the world would be an absolutely different place. But I think that there is this agenda that is propping up, and I don't need to think about it. It is happening. It's what Ayn Rand discussed and talked about in A Brave New World. It's what she talked about in Atlas Shrugged. It's what she talked about when she mentions words like altruism or communal altruism, in the sense of how we, as a society, tend to get larger. And as we get larger, we centralize. And as we centralize, we start focusing on the greater good, the betterment of society as a whole, of which the individual is lost. The individual is destroyed. And we're seeing that right now in our country. We're seeing that right now in our small towns and neighborhoods, that the individual is being dragged through the shredder. And it happens in the sense of recognition. It happens in the sense of the division through the race wars. It happens with the division through politics. So we as a society, we have to come to terms with a solution for this. And one of the greatest solutions that I'm seeing for this is what I hear people doing all the time. Josh, I have an apartment. I turned my patio into a garden. I went out there and I bought an acre of land. I'm building a homestead. I'm building a homestead. We're creating parallel systems. And we're not creating parallel systems because the ones that are outside of us don't work, because they work perfectly. But they work perfectly for the businesses, for the corporations, for the global factions that are in control. They don't necessarily work perfectly for us. So we create these parallel systems to, number one, provide a sense of security for you, me, and everybody else. Number two, that we can get the things that we need and that we want, and that we can also have a communal organization that always has a supply chain to fill the needs of a community. And these things are paramount, but they only happen because of good people like you and me. All of the things that are happening right now, all the good things that are happening right now are happening because of good people like you and me. Think about that for a minute. This is kind of what Tom McDonald was saying, is that this world moves forward each day. It doesn't enter into bouts of chaos because you and me are content, or you and me are happy, you and me are satisfied, you and me are fulfilled. We go about our day and we make the world go round. And that's an allegorical context in the sense that society continues to thrive simply because we take part in its process. Unfortunately for society, it's getting to the point where we can no longer take part in society. We can no longer take part in the system, the machine. And the reason is because the system, the machine, has been organized, developed, and engineered to destroy you as an individual, to degrade you to nothing more than a meat machine, to build you up to the point to where your only value is what someone else tells you it is. We have to get out of that system. It is an incredibly dangerous system. Now, what's interesting is this world, this country, is moving towards a point where artificial intelligence and machines, robots, are going to take over the majority of the workforce. In the next 20 years, 80% of the global workforce will be replaced by artificial intelligence and robots. What does that mean for you and me? Do we entrust the government and organizations to take care of us, to pay us, to feed us, to allow us to get a mortgage? That is going to be things of the past. And see, in order to usher in that society, in order to bring about their dream of that global base structure society, the slave matrix, as I called it, they have to kill this one. Or they have to slowly transform it. They tried slowly transforming it. They tried to slowly integrate the one world government, the new world order. But now we're getting to that point where we push back, the point that they didn't want to get to. And when I say they, we talked a little bit about this weekend. They, who are they? Why do we always blame the world's problems on they? Because there is factions of people who are incredibly wealthy and powerful that I call they, that dictate how things operate on this planet. What businesses are going to be successful, what politicians are going to get selected and elected, what laws and policies and regulations are going to be pushed down, who gets the loans, which countries get the needed supplies or the money for this needed supplies, which resources are going to get used and which resources will not get used. And that right there is the wrap up of how our world works. So we are moving to a point right now where what we consider to be the old guard, these old factions that have held power and control for a very long time, and they still do have immense amounts of power and control, are getting anxious because their new world order isn't here. They're getting dire because we've completely dismantled their information and psychological warfare operations that were being done on humanity to accept their new world order. This means that we are moving into an incredibly dangerous time, an incredibly chaotic time. These people have a plan for the world. If you don't believe me, go and read Klaus Schwab's 2014 book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution. Read the whole book. You can download it on Audible. Listen to it. It explains to you how the world's going to work, where the world's going to transition, what's going to happen when it all transitions. What are the problems that are going to arise? And yes, they talk about war. They talk about famine. They talk about civil war. He talks about AI replacing jobs and universal basic income. He outlines everything in the sense of a neo-communist manifesto with new words like equity. We're moving to the point in this world where these factions that hold so much power need to be eliminated. And I do believe that there is a plan right now in progress to where other factions are trying to systematically destroy these older factions, these communist factions. It doesn't mean that these other factions are any better. It doesn't mean that any other factions have better ideas. But it does mean that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And the first thing that we have to do for this world to move forward, the first thing that we have to do for us to get reprieve from the last 50 to 100 years of the usurping of the United States Constitution, the United States of America, is we have to eliminate the old guard. We have to eliminate those dangerous, chaotic factions that have ruled and dominated society for a very long time. And that is happening right now. But they will not go quietly into the night. They will scorch this earth before they ever give up power. And what we're seeing over the last month, what we're going to see over the next few months, is the unraveling of exactly that. We are watching the systematic destruction of the old guard. At the same time, we are watching the rise of power of the new guard. I've talked about this multiple different times. The deep state that is referenced by Trump Republicans, is the leftist, Marxist deep state. That is in the process of being transferred in power to the right deep state. The deep state is not going to end. Our government system was developed exactly to operate with that form of governance in place, to circumvent the three branches of power. You're not going to get around it at this point in time, this juncture. Today, the national debt hit $35 trillion. Interest payments on debt are now exceeding the national defense spending. Economists are divided on whether this debt poses a serious threat to economic stability or remains manageable with economic growth. Political debates focus on whether to cut spending or increase taxes to address growing debt. Now, this is interesting. Political debates are focused on whether to cut spending or increase taxes to address growing debt. Did anybody ever read the Federalist Papers or the writings between James Madison and Thomas Jefferson? And a lot of what Thomas Jefferson talked about in the sense of taxes. Our founding fathers of the United States of America, one thing that they ultimately agreed upon was that taxes were not a permanent thing, that taxes were a necessary thing when the government would need to do certain things, build railroads, build roadways, build infrastructure, or to go out there and fight a war. But they were a temporary thing, and that the taxes should never be had on wages. They should never happen on what people need to live, but instead on anything that exceeds what that person needs to survive on, which would be profit. And this is where you get income. Income is profits and gains from transactions, in the sense where all my bills are paid, I'm living a good, happy, stable life, I got money in the bank, and then I had some excess. That excess is what you pay taxes on. And also, they never believed in an income tax. They believed on mainly flat taxes. When politicians only give you two options, when debt has hit $35 trillion, it's time for you to give politicians one option. And that one option is no fucking more. You know, I don't like very many globalists and elitists, but Warren Buffett said it best. If you want to reduce the national debt and create a federal surplus, it can happen within one congressional term, 2 years. And it's really, really easy. That no congressman, senator, or elected official is able to get reelected unless the federal deficit is below 3%. Really that. They lose their opportunity to be reelected if there's debt. If you're sitting at $35 trillion in the national debt, nobody should have legally be allowed to get reelected, from president, senator, congressman on down. And he's right. He said if you put it out there, a constitutional amendment stating that if the federal deficit is over 3%, you are not qualified for reelection. If we did that, the national debt would be paid off. We would have no deficit. The budget would be balanced. You know, we used to have a budget that was proposed by Congress to the president. Did you know this? It used to be a big thing that was talked about all throughout the 80s and the 90s. Oh, when's Congress going to propose their budget? Now they propose spending, not a budget, spending. Budget means that, hey, we have income, we have outflow. Let's balance those two into a budget. Now it's just another trillion here, another trillion here. How about $1.6 trillion more now to Ukraine, or $1.7 billion in new security assistance to Ukraine? November 11th, 2022 was one of the last CUE posts, 4962. This is what he says. Who are the silent thieves? Why are they manipulating you? How are they stealing your wealth? Bubble, crash, steal, lie, repeat. What is inflation? Monetary manipulation. Taxation without representation. Put an end to the endless. 1913. It is time to end the Fed. Representative Thomas Maffsey and a few others have supported the bill, have a bill currently to end the Fed. This bill needs to get passed. I don't understand why we can call our congressmen and senators on all these different topics and influence them to not vote on a bill, but when we have one that benefits everybody in this country, it doesn't get any attention. And that shows you the power of the bankers. That shows you the power of the Federal Reserve. That's right, John Kidd. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. Donald Trump last week spoke at the Bitcoin conference. I want you to listen to what Donald Trump says here. Whether you agree with him or not, listen to what Donald Trump says here.
But for too long, our government has violated the cardinal rule that every Bitcoiner knows by heart. Never sell your Bitcoin, right? That's right, isn't it, huh? That's right. How did I figure that one? Never sell your Bitcoin. And so, as the final part of my plan today, I am announcing that if I am elected, it will be the policy of my administration, United States of America, to keep 100% of all the Bitcoin the U.S. government currently holds or acquires into the future. We'll keep 100%. I hope you do well, please. This will serve in effect as the core of the strategic national Bitcoin stockpile. As you know, most of the Bitcoin currently held by the United States government was obtained through law enforcement action. You know that. They took it from you. Let's take that guy's life. Let's take his family, his house, his Bitcoin. We'll turn it into Bitcoin. It's been taken away from you because that's where we're going now. That's where this country is going. It's a fascist regime.
So Donald Trump,
for too long, our government
talking about Bitcoin and the government's actions under the Biden administration and what they're doing. And he's absolutely right. The Biden administration wants to tax the hell up to 55% on cryptocurrency. But Donald Trump just said that it would be the policy under his administration to create a national strategic Bitcoin reserve. Does anybody understand how important that is? I've talked about this that on my crypto masterminds that we usually do on Sundays, that it was going to be 5 to 10 years before the United States adopted something like that. And it'll be that takes cryptocurrency to the moon. And Donald Trump, when he gets into office, is going to do that. Why? You have to understand the new economic system that is being developed right now. You have to understand what happened specifically around 2019 to 2021 when they knew that the Democrats would stop at nothing and would take the election. Think about this for a second. The Western New World Order was about to do a mass chaos event globally and seize power once and for all. I believe that got thwarted. The way that it got thwarted was because of the meteoric rise of Russia, China, India, Brazil, Turkey, and all the other BRICS nations to the top of the economic ladder. Russia's ability to maneuver around U.S. sanctions, the establishment of a new SWIFT system, an interbanking system between the BRICS nations that is backed upon gold and utilizes cryptocurrencies, that has aspects of itself that are completely decentralized from government regulation and organization. In July of 2023, the Bank of International Settlements put out a new architecture for the new global financial system. Inside of this architecture, it basically left it wide open for interpretation. You have centralized tokenization, and then you have private tokenization. And the private tokenization includes things like Bitcoin, which are decentralized networks in the sense where the government or one person cannot control them, because if they ever tried to, people leave those systems. And I know people are against cryptocurrency, but hear me out for a second here. Cryptocurrency is going to be the currency of the future. It is going to be the monetary system of the future. Whether you like it or not, it has been selected, it has been elected, it is being put in place. What is happening right now is the old system is being hyperinflated. It is being looted. And they are pulling all of their vested interest out and they're putting it into real assets. At the same time that they're doing that, your wealth, your money, your value that is stored in the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, these types of things, is massively decreasing. The balance might be going up, but that's funny money that's not going to exist in 5 to 10 years. Yes, they are coming out with a digital dollar. Yes, the Department of the Treasury has plans for a CBDC digital dollar. And the rollout of that is incredibly tyrannical. And I want nothing to do with it. But what we are going to see primarily is we're going to see the rise of private tokenization. Private tokenization is going to come about through banks creating their own internal monetary systems. Banks like JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo, they are going to go out there and create their own internal monetary system. What they will then do with their own internal monetary system is they will translate that monetary system for a usable currency among all of the various different types of companies and corporations and businesses that they own and operate. In the sense, name brands, retail stores, grocery stores, mortgages, these types of things will all be placed under their internal tokenization. I want you to think about it like this. It's the big setup, and it's where everything is headed. And I'm not saying that Donald Trump is wrong here, because I would say buy some Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is going to be the lifesaver. There's going to be other cryptocurrencies that it's going to be the lifesaver for you in this new monetary system. But primarily, if you default, if you don't get on board with this now, which is still the wild, wild west in that new monetary system, and you fall in line with the central bank digital currency that comes out from the U.S. Department of Treasury, or if you fall in line with what your bank gives you in the sense of private tokenization, this is what is going to happen. Inflation is going to get so damn bad that your money is going to be absolutely worthless. Think Venezuela 2010. Interest rates are going to be so high that it's going to be impossible to get a mortgage and actually pay it. Private banks are going to issue their own internal tokenization. You can use those tokens at their grocery stores, at retail stores that they all have stock and interest in. But one thing that they're going to do is they're going to incentivize utilizing their private tokenization. So when you get paid in your paycheck every month and it goes into your bank account, you're going to have the ability to convert that at a certain rate, a 1-to-1 ratio, a 1-to-0.5 ratio. So imagine being able to get paid and then convert it a 1.5x, then take that and go out there and get a mortgage at 3% through a private institution to where now you're living in their home. But the value of that home is inflated into the sense of the current monetary system. What that produces is a system of corporate ownership over your assets, over things that you would naturally own on your own, that things that you could go out there and purchase on your own. Does anybody think that it's a secret why BlackRock, JP Morgan, we had Goldman Sachs all bought up hundreds, if not thousands, of communities around the world from 2021 to 2022 around this country? They were buying up developments, various different 250 house neighborhoods in Florida, California, and various other United States. Earlier that year, the Joe Biden administration put out the infrastructure bill, and inside of that was a clause for PPP funds, the COVID funds that were coming out. And it mandated that all counties in the United States, if they wanted to receive the PPP funds, would have to change the zoning ordinance of single-family houses from 67% to 27%, and then increase the zoning for multifamily structures that accept Section 8 housing. Now, that might sound great, but it's not. What it does is it reduces the amount of building permits, amount of single-family houses that can go up, and the amount of neighborhoods that would now go up in lieu. But what it also does is increases the amount of multi-family housing complexes that can go up in rural and suburban areas. Then also it increases the ability for those multi-housing complexes to have increased crime rates, because the majority of the people living in there are on welfare or in poverty because they are accepting Section 8 and government assisted housing. That's not, in my opinion, that's a statistic. What's happening right now is that the world, the system in the United States, is moving towards a controlled mechanism of corporatism. Donald Trump just said it right there. It's fascism. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we've seen over the last 4 years of the Joe Biden administration. I hate to say it too, but that's what we saw a lot within 4 years of Donald Trump's administration. Corporations have way too much power and influence in this country. And right now, corporations are going in for the kill shot. They are making sure that they are integrated directly into the new systems that are being developed for the New World Order, whether it's the Western New World Order or the BRICS New World Order. See, those are things that we have to fight against. Corporations should have zero political influence and power. Zero. None. Zilch. Nada. It should be actually the opposite way, in my opinion, is that corporations should succumb to the will of the people, in the sense that no corporation should be able to form a monopoly against other businesses. And this is what they do. Walmart was one of the largest companies in the world to go out and do exactly this in the 1980s and 90s with absolutely zero repercussions. Google and Microsoft have done that more so recently. Other companies are doing this as well right now in various different industries. They buy up all the competition, they put them out of business, they adopt their brands, they form conglomerations, and then they sell it back to you thinking that you're actually getting a choice, when in actuality, you're buying just from one company. When you go out to the grocery store and you go out and you go down the store shelves and you're buying name brand, and then in Walmart you have something called Great Value or Kirkland over at Costco. Did you know that the Kirkland and the Great Value are the same damn thing as the name brands? Because here's the thing, is PepsiCo is nothing more than a branding and marketing agency. The distributors that are the ones that control the food production, the boxing, putting the image on and sending it off, they're the ones who control really what's happening. They're leasing the licensing from those other companies, which provide all the marketing. So what they do is they take that product, they slap a new brand on it, Great Value. They bought licensing contracts from PepsiCo, and then they sell it to you at a reduced price, but it's the same damn product. That is a monopoly on the food distribution, production, and marketing system, because there's no way around that. I have a friend in Colorado who created an energy drink, and he had like 50,000 subscribers, and people were freaking buying his energy drink left and right. He went out to a production facility to go out there and produce his energy drink for him. They went in there, they leased the licensing agreement, and they started producing it and sending it out. And then one day the boxes never showed up, and he went over there and they said, "Oh, we've shelved it." he said, you can't do that. We have a contract. And they said, fuck your contract. And the reason they shelved it is because PepsiCo came in and said, we have a competitor energy drink. You need to shelve that product. And they shelved it. And he lost all of his production overnight. And by the time he got his lawyers and legal involved, it was over. The company was done. That's how it works. And that's monopolistic. We have to stop that aspect in our economic system. Cryptocurrency is one of those methodologies for that. Decentralized cryptocurrency. I want to say that. Decentralized cryptocurrency. And here's the thing is we have a very, very strong voice. When we speak, when we take the social media, we influence masses. You, me, and everybody else. How do we know this? The Olympics in France are a prime example of this. One second. The Olympics in France are a prime example of this. This last weekend, France did an artist rendition of The Last Supper with a fat lesbian woman and a bunch of gay people, with one of them in his nutsacks hanging out of his spandex there. And although these people might have meant well and they wanted to recreate some art, the world didn't take too nice to this. Iran was one of the first countries to speak out, and they said that they stand in solidarity with Christians around the world being outspoken about this because it's a slap to the face and that Christians need to stand up for this type of shit. Various different companies started pulling their advertisements from the Olympics. A few hours after the Olympics did this horrible type of introduction ceremony, which wasn't even horrible. It was just downright satanic and pedophilic. There is widespread power outages occurring across all of Paris. Now that's interesting because it kind of aligns with something that I was saying last week. When CrowdStrike had their little gaffe where all the Microsoft servers that were attached to the CrowdSoft and using the CrowdStrike software went out and blue screened. That was the good factions, or the factions that you and I would align with, sending a message to them, saying that if you try to steal the election, we know how you're doing it, we will shut you down. What happened in Paris, I think, was a message to them as well. I think that was probably some good guys doing some good things, just keeping that up there. Now, what we just witnessed over this last month was an absolute coup in our country over Joe Biden. And it's kind of funny. It's kind of ironic, right? Because Joe Biden and the Democrats coup Donald Trump, and then Obama coup goes in the coup Joe Biden, but Trump really won, and it's kind of confusing. Let me explain what happened. And I'm not going to speak too much more on the French Olympics. Listen, symbolism will be their downfall, people. We know this. We know that there's sick puppies out there. We know that these people are ill and most of them are soulless. Their day of judgment will come. Understand that. This is from A Muse on X. More details behind the bloodless coup our nation just experienced from Seymour Hersh. Now, I don't trust Seymour Hersh, but just listen to this. By Saturday, July 20th, former President Barack Obama was deeply involved, and there was talk that he would place a call to Biden. It was not clear whether Biden had been examined or just what happened to him in Las Vegas. Many people believe he had a stroke. The big three, the official said, referring to the former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, and House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, continued to be directly involved. On Sunday morning, the official told Seymour Hersh, with the approval of Pelosi and Schumer, Obama called Biden after breakfast and said, here's the deal. We have Kamala's approval to invoke the 25th Amendment. The amendment provides that when the president is determined by the vice president and others to be unfit to carry out the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall assume those duties. On Monday, July 15th, Biden took off on Air Force One on a campaign trip to Nevada, a toss-up state that Biden won in 2020 by a little more than 30,000 votes. No, he didn't. On Tuesday, he gave a keynote address to 5,000 members of the NAACP at its national convention. The next day, the president, apparently stricken while campaigning with yet-to-be-revealed illness, broke from his schedule, made a police escort race to Air Force One after initially telling police they were heading toward the nearest emergency room. A series of blog posts, local internet reports, internet messages, and a report in the Daily Mail disclosed further details of Biden's trip to Las Vegas and his abrupt return home to Delaware. Seymour Hersh reviewed these reports this week, and the senior official in Washington who helped him fashion an account of the White House in complete disarray, culminating in the president's withdrawal from the race. It's a story not unlike 7 Days in May, the Cold War thriller in which the colonel played by Kirk Douglas foils a coup staged by the general played by Burt Lancaster. None of what you read below comes from an official account by the White House. So, from what we got, from what we're reading there, is yes, there was a coup. I don't believe the aspect in the sense where Obama wanted Kamala to be the running mate, wanted to be the candidate. Nobody wanted Kamala to be the candidate. This is an incredibly hard sell with their pollsters right now with everything that we're seeing. Kamala cannot beat Donald Trump in a debate. She cannot beat Donald Trump in a general election, and she's going to get absolutely creamed. Although what they're doing is they're manipulating the poll results like they always do. Now they're saying that Kamala is leading here. Kamala is leading here. Kamala is leading here. It's not true. You and I know this. The Democratic Party is dead in the water. So what happened? From what we gathered, Barack Obama called Joe, 25th Amendment him, told him they're going to do it. Told him not to endorse Kamala. Joe Biden shopped around, I believe, from what I've heard, made a deal with Donald Trump when they called him on the attempted assassination date because they missed their shot. Made a deal there. I don't know what the deal was. And Trump said endorse Kamala. Why? Because when they endorse Kamala, now it's incredibly difficult to have an open forum at the Democrat National Convention that is coming up in the middle of August. You also got to keep in mind, they lose 3 states immediately now that Kamala is the candidate. Then there was some aspects of what happened here. They transferred hundreds of millions of dollars to Kamala. Now the Virginia Attorney General is investigating these campaign funds. It's all going to be revealed. I hope so. And I hope that it comes really, really fast. What do we have here? Oh, we'll watch that video. This is kind of funny. But Pennsylvania Teachers Union have been accused of laundering $1.5 million in the Democrat Governor Josh Shapiro's campaign, a top contender for vice presidential pick. It's a horrible pick. The Trump campaign on the debate with Kamala. There's a strong sense by many of the Democratic Party, namely Barack Hussein Obama, that Kamala Harris is a Marxist fraud who cannot beat President Trump, and they are still holding out for someone better. Therefore, it would be inappropriate to schedule things with Harris because Democrats very well could still change their mind. And he's absolutely 100% correct. So the Virginia Attorney General is investigating the alleged fraudulent donations to Act Blue. Jason Miyares announced an investigation into the allegations of fraudulent donations to Act Blue, a Democratic PAC. My office is aware of these allegations, and rest assured we are looking into it. The probe follows claims that a 79-year-old woman made over 22,000 donations totaling $839,000, raising concerns of ID theft. And that's how they operate. They go out there, they find people who donated to Act Blue. They just take their names, they go out there, they create a fake credit card, the billionaires pump money onto them, and they donate hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars through these people who aren't actually donating. And they make it look like people are actually donating to these campaigns, when in actuality it's like 2 or 3 people who are just billionaires that are trying to fund these campaigns. This is money laundering. This is illegal. This is illicit campaign funds. And if the Virginia Attorney General winds up in a car accident in the next few days and dead, we'll know why. Here's the thing. We have to bring that system down. We have to destroy that system. The way to do that is to expose it, and expose it now. especially at the time when this country is coming to a precipice, when many different groups and factions out there in the social community are rising up against the establishments, rising up against Kamala, rising up against Barack Obama, rising up against Joe Biden, because they don't want to see this bullshit happen again. The same things that happened to Bernie Sanders in 2016 and 2012. So, very good information right there. We're going to keep on following that. But right after this happens, interesting enough, hundreds of communists have marched in Philadelphia over the last few days. The communist Marxist revolution right now is probably moving towards its full force position. Guys, we are potentially moving into a civil war situation. I want everybody to be very understanding of where we're lying right now in the world. All right, I'm going to do a quick summary. I don't think there is really any important. Venezuela. We'll talk about Venezuela. Well, I can do this in this summarization because we're killing on time right now. All right. So let me review some things real quick on here. So the Trump assassination. We're going to take it from the Trump assassination. They tried to assassinate Donald Trump. They missed their shot. Yes, a bullet actually hit Donald Trump's ear. There was a breakdown and massive breakdown in communication. Secret Service was not doing their job or doing it correctly, probably because the majority of Secret Service agents were pulled away from the Trump rally, the Joe Biden's rally, because we know that it was a setup, that the government agents were involved in this and that they wanted Donald Trump dead. Well, they lost, and now it's going to become even more difficult to take Donald Trump out. But here's the thing, is somebody within the establishment, somebody within the deep state who's making decisions on that side of the house who hates Donald Trump said, take Donald Trump out, we will deal with the consequences, which will be civil unrest, it will be civil war, the country will go into chaos, and we're absolutely prepared and ready for that. That decision was made. We were not supposed to be here right now. We're supposed to be at war with our government right now because Donald Trump was supposed to be shot, and that's what they wanted. They wanted civil unrest. They wanted riots in the streets. They wanted to use their 14 million illegal immigrants to take to the streets, their Chinese military members. They wanted to use their cartel members. They wanted to use all these things to go out there and go after you and me and install martial law and cancel the election and take Donald Trump out. That's what they wanted to do. That didn't work. Well, that's a godsend. That's a great thing that it didn't work. But guess what? Be fucking ready. Because that didn't work, the shitstorm is coming. Either a massive major terrorist attack, either a massive national emergency of some sort, weather-related mass casualty, I don't know, or the outbreak of World War III or the collapse of the global economy, something of that nature is freaking coming. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know when it's going to be. I'm saying is probably August to September timeframe, something massive is going to happen. I've been saying it for months now. It's going to be Joe Biden passing away in office, a nation in mourning. That's going to come. The United States is going to be weak and vulnerable during that time. Boom. One of those events is going to happen in and around that. They cannot allow the election to happen. If they allow the election to happen, they cannot allow the transference of power to Donald Trump. So, let's look at what we have going on. In Venezuela, we have the top anti-socialist candidate who won the election. We were reading it all about it last night. Won the election last night. This morning, nope, he lost. Maduro comes out and says, oh, no, I won the election. He didn't win the election. And now people are rising up all throughout Venezuela. The riots are going on. And here's an interesting tidbit. This is what the charts looked like from the election last night. Look familiar? See that straight line upward? That's a vote dump. Another vote dump. They stole the election in Venezuela. And Maduro's regime is seizing power. And world leaders are coming against him. He's not going to be able to hold on to this one. But it's going to expose massive voter fraud and how it's done. With that being said, Venezuela is about to head to civil war. I pray for those people, and I hope that they get their country back, and I hope that the loss of life isn't that great from this. Just tyrants. The blood of tyrants is what we want to see. Not what we want to see, but what you're probably going to see. House Speaker Mike Johnson has named 7 Republicans to the investigation committee that's going to investigate the Donald Trump assassination attempt. 5 of them are rhinos. I'm not too happy about that. I know you're not too happy about that. That's what you're getting. Which means to me, we got Clay Higgins on there, so maybe some good will come out of it. But according to Benny Johnson, I'm learning some really, really bad details about this task force. Republican members are in total revolt. This will end badly for Mike Johnson. More to come. So what we're hearing is that nobody on the task force is actually qualified in the sense. You have Corey Mills from Florida as a former Army combat veteran who is a sniper as well, who Speaker Johnson refused to put on Trump's assassination attempt task force, has now pledged to fund a parallel independent investigation. Why? Because Corey Mills believes that this was a setup and our government tried to take out Donald Trump. That's why Johnson doesn't want him on there, because Don Johnson knows the truth. Our political system is not broken. It was meant to work this way. But there is a war of the roses going on between both sides of the deep state. The Uni Party is fighting among each other. The corporations are fighting among each other. The nation states are fighting among each other because the factions at the top of the multi-headed Hydra are at war with each other. The world is about to be thrown into fucking chaos. It is one literal event away from that. Russia, China just buzzed our border up in Alaska with bombers where F-16s had to get deployed, F-35s had to get deployed. We have instability in the Asian Peninsula again. Things are heating up and ramping up in Taiwan. We have Ukraine getting more funding, getting more weapons. We have South America and Central America now about to top off. We have massive destabilization in Northern Africa. So when we look at what's going on globally, one small little flame is going to ignite the world. And don't fool yourself. This is what they want. If the Democrats win in November, if the election happens, the Democrats win, there will be civil war. If the election happens in November and the Republicans win, there will be civil war. It's inevitable. Nothing's going to stop it. When I talk about civil war, I'm talking about 10th Amendment derived civil war in the sense of legality, state versus state, utilizing Supreme Court. This is why Joe Biden is pushing for Supreme Court overhaul right now. It'll be dead in the water, but he's going to push it through executive policy. Don't know if that's going to jive. We'll see. We are about to see the world flipped upside down. What I recommend all of you, get your popcorn, sit back, and let it happen. The world's been flipped on its side all throughout history. It happens all the time. It's how the world, how humanity, how generations, how societies move through golden ages to these incredibly chaotic times. It's a natural part of the evolution of society. But we are moving through that right now. The key point is that when that precipice occurs, when the chaos ensues, we seize that moment, and that's when we take back control. That's when we take back power. That's when we fight. We fight at that point when they are at their most vulnerable, and that is the point in time when we are at our most vulnerable. Stock up on water. Stock up on things that you need, food. I would have 30, 60, 90 days worth of prep goods and food. I'm not saying this is going to happen tomorrow, but we are getting to that crunch time, people. They cannot allow Donald Trump to take power. They will scorch this earth before it ever happens. We are in a 6-month window before that could actually happen. Ammo, shoot straight, have a way to protect and defend yourself. Have a way to boost your immune system. Redpills.tv/mushroom. Yep, I'm going to throw that in there. We got to sponsor this show somehow. and that's a fucking hell of a product. redpills.tv/mushroom. Check it out. My Patriot Supply, redpills.tv/patriot. You can get all your preppy needs done there, including alternative power systems. redpills.tv/patriot. Sorry about the problems earlier with Rumble and getting the show going, but I appreciate your guys' patience. Tomorrow, we'll be back with more of the Daily Dose. This week, our normal broadcasting schedule will be going on there. Guys, you are fantastic. I appreciate all your support today and over the years. Much love, respect. God bless you guys. You guys take care. Have a great night. Good night.
Spoon, that's impossible. Only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.